This is a video by the National Chung Kung University, Department of Foreign Languages and Literature, and this is the final video of a three-part series discussing writing flow and how you connect the ideas in your English writing together with transitions and linking words. This last one is talking about logic. So when you have a cause and effect, one point related to a reason and another point related to a result. So in general, you've probably seen thus. You've probably used thus actually, and thus can be used when you're talking about a reason and then a result. So this happened, so this. Point one for this reason, so this. And it can also be related to evidence. So table 1 shows this, thus this conclusion. It also can be used when talking in details, or when you're talking about details and then you want to summarize at the very end. And it also can be used when you're talking about a means or how to accomplish an action or something in this way or by doing something, and then the result. So many governments intend to develop energy-efficient transportation technology and thus reduce their reliance on imported oil. For this reason and accordingly also similarly function, in which there's kind of a cause or a reason and then a result, an effect. The chairs will begin to rust in wet conditions. For this reason, they are not a good choice for outdoor use. Therefore is also kind of used interchangeably with thus. So like when you're talking about a reason to a result, or a problem and then a solution. And do note that you can use hence as well. And it is much more formal than therefore. And hence actually is slightly different as well, because it focuses more on the reason for something, while therefore focuses more on the result of something. The customer was displeased with her meal, hence the chef prepared a replacement. So it's focusing on this displeasement. While in this one, we do not have enough money, therefore we cannot afford to buy a new car. They're focusing on the fact that they can't buy a new car. And another one you can use is consequently, as a result. There has been a great deal of rain, and consequently the reservoirs are full. So there's something mentioned before, and then the result of that. And as a consequence is typically associated with negative things, so his wife left him. As a consequence, he became very depressed. Poor guy. When talking about subordinators or subordinate clauses, subordinate phrases, dependent clauses, dependent phrases, you can use some of these. So since tends to be used more in the US English, while as tends to be used more in the UK English. And as you can see, it's highlighted by the blue as the subordinate clause. And these tend to emphasize given information, the cause, the reason, rather than because, which tends to emphasize the effect, the result, the new information, the explanation. And do note that you can actually sometimes switch it up. So instead of just talking cause to effect, you can actually talk about the effect and then the cause, which you can see in the because kind of format. So this is the effect or the result of something, and then you're saying the why, because. So this is because of the. And then in that, you can use to explain some statement that you made, talking about a unique aspect of something or the difference, and it just helps to explain right after why you made such a statement like that. Moving on to prepositions. You've probably seen a lot of these. So in Taiwan, people are opposed to nuclear because of this. Point 1, due to this. This has happened as a result of this. Given this thing happening, this statement. So these are all really nice ways of connecting different points and different cause to effect, and the effect because of the cause. One thing to note is that owing to typically is only found with the with the phrase at the start of a sentence. These other ones can kind of be either prepositions stuck in the middle of the sentence or kind of given an elevated place by putting in the front, but owing to it typically is only found in the sentence beginning. So now we're going to talk about some cause effect, and where you can kind of jump around whether you're talking about the cause and then the effect, or the effect and then the cause. So these are some example sentences of using these nouns in a cause and then an effect. So take a good note. And you'll notice that a lot of the times the verb that's used to connect these is the to be verb. So like are, is, were, was, will be, those sorts of verbs. It doesn't always have to be, and it's actually preferred in English when you use like action words like this, but a lot of the times you do end up having to use that sort of to be verb. And here are cases where it's the effect first and then the cause later. So let's just look at an example. So the result of this is this. And then there's actually another statement behind it right there, because blah, blah, blah. And then here, a two-party system is a consequence of this. So this is the cause, and then there's the effect. When talking about verbs that help to connect between your cause and effect points, you can split them into two. One being where it's cause first and then effect, and the second type being where it's effect first and then cause, as you see listed here. The ones in bold can actually be used also as an effect and then a cause, but they have to be in passive form. And what I mean by that, if you remember, passive form is like this. So normally it would be used human behavior causes climate change. There's the cause, then the verb, and then the effect. So it could also be like leads to, accounts for, influences, contributes to. But in the passive form, some of these can be used. So it would be climate change is brought about by human behavior. Climate change is triggered by human behavior. Is induced by human behavior. Here's a list of some example sentences with the cause-effect verb. So CO2 emissions, the cause, are expected to account for half of the increase in global house gases. So that's the result. And then if you switch it, you can have the effect first and then the cause. So our living conditions are considerably influenced by the Earth's climate. So the Earth's climate is the cause, and then our living conditions are the result, the effect. And this one's an interesting one here. So this one has the cause being the harsh martial rule by the early KMT regime, and that resulted in fierce resistance. But then that together resulted in present democratic status. So you can kind of compound these depending on how you write them. So this one's arose or arises from, and the second one was can be attributed to this one. This last one is actually two sort of effect cause statements inside of each other, because this is the author kind of arguing. This is actually from an article, is arguing that one of them, this ascribed to whatever cause, is actually not the right one, it's the other one. So what they're saying is the author ascribes Taiwan's COVID prevention to democracy. And that actually concludes our video series, the National Chung Kung University Department of Foreign Languages and Literature series on transitions and linking words. So if you would like to watch a video on when the points made are about parallel kind of supporting listing points, you can watch the first video in the series. And if you'd like to watch a video on where the points you've made are in contrast to each other, or pointing out differences, you can watch the second video in the series. And I hope you learned something. And once again, these are not bound definitions. All of these are kind of depending on the person, how they read. You as a writer should be able to say exactly what you mean. And so I hope that learning these specific examples will be able to help you.